Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 10th of June. So looking at the news today then, and of course the headlines are the ECB meeting. Now we will see the data out at 12:45. Anything that's going to really change should be in that monetary policy statement at 12:45, but of course it's really the forward guidance we normally expect at 1:30. We'll hear that, so watch out for that. But don't at 1:30 spot on the dot. I've also got the US CPI inflation data. So again, very important one. This one. There's some forecasts coming in way up to 5% annualized inflation there. So be wary of some real volatility on 1:30 on the dot. Of course, thereafter the press conference comes into play, and it takes a little while for the data for Lagarde to speak and get points across. So, and more importantly, the press conference afterwards. Or as importantly. So there you are, busy day today. This morning I expect to see pretty quietish. Let's have a look at the technicals then. Coming through to the just checking something, so that's good. Yep, so just coming across to the euro itself. Actually, before I go on to the shorter time frames, let's just look what we ended up with yesterday. Shooting star there in the end. Bit of a disappointing day. It started pushing off quite nicely and looks pretty decent, but rolled over in the afternoon there, rolling over. Bearish sort of patterns coming through there, and well, we've got this sort of key reversal bar coming in now. It's put a new high in. It's put a new high and low in there, completely reversed this sort of current move. But how long that will last for, we could just end up in another choking point until later on this afternoon. So just tread very carefully on this euro this morning. The pound. Someone said yesterday the pound's been doing its own thing, and yes, it's been doing its own thing. So the pound yesterday, again, another down day there for the pound. It's really struggling in its range. It's just pushing up there. It hasn't actually really broken that 142 I mentioned yesterday. Hasn't even got up to that yesterday. It's just dancing below it at 141.90. And sitting here, maybe we'll see a turnaround at some point. We're getting quite close to these prior lows here. So maybe we'll see something from that. Are there any clues on the lower time frames? Well, it's an outside bar that we're seeing in the current bar relative to the inner one. It has got a daily pivot untouched up the top there. Maybe there's some potential for it to push on up there. Okay, it's the pound. Dollar yen, we saw a bit of movement, but not a great deal. But it ended up pushing up again there. Never a great deal of movement, but it was all at one go there. We saw the movement, and then we saw just consolidation thereafter. So we're not. This is the high expectation of big inflation numbers coming out in the US. I believe that caused that the rumours coming out regarding that. And that caused that movement initially. So you can just see the sort of effects and volatility we may come across later on today. Lower high in this dollar yen at the moment is strengthening up a little bit at the moment, and we're seeing that with the euro switching around a little bit, the pound potentially switching around there. So a bit of movement starting to occur. Aussie dollar, well, there's the Aussie dollar inside there again yesterday. I'm not even going to spend time looking at it. Canadian dollar, a bit of a disappointment in a sense yesterday. The meeting it laid out the potential for continuation of the more tapering of the funding, but it's not really done too much. It started moving quite nicely later on. Actually, it's just didn't really it actually did it on this one candle, but that was it. It reversed, and well, you can see what's happening here, but still pretty tightly in its range at this stage. So not a lot to add there either, really. I did look at a couple of alternatives yesterday I looked at the CAD yen, and well, we're seeing that was looking quite good on the bigger picture. It was catching a bit of a bounce there, but doesn't look so good at the moment, and if anything, looks like it's going to continue this sort of a soft move to the downside. So well, things change quite quickly after 8 o'clock. Maybe that might be one of them, but it does look quite soft at the moment, and we may see this break. There's a lot of retail traders on the short side of a lot of these CAD pairs, and particularly this one. Okay, aside of that, usual suspects then. Euro yen, again, this one's just worked its way through the Asian session. A good shove up and close up yesterday, but just couldn't hold on to the gains. Rolled over during the night, and once again just lower highs, lower lows, and rolled over. So that's where we are euro yen wise. Again, it's one of those that's very highly shorted. We might see a bit more correction. I be wary of the euro yen today with the news out later, I guess. That's pretty much all I'm going to look at there. Looking at the S&Ps, and well, the undecided, just continuing to sit in this relatively tight old range, trying to push through into new high territory, not quite making it again yesterday, and it's quite a mess at the moment. At some stage we may see a spike one way or the other. Really high inflation, might see a drop down in this action if it shocks the markets a little bit. May only be temporary, bearing in mind that it's when we're looking at inflation at the moment, and a lot of it is being brushed aside because we're starting from a low base level in comparison. So last year everything was shut down at this time, or pretty much shut down, and they'll be comparing not like for like effectively. So just take that into account. So any movement down here, any correction on any high inflation figures could be short-lived. Right, okay, then looking at gold. So gold this morning selling off here. Let's just come out the time frames a little bit here, and you can see last couple of days, actually yesterday did try and push up, but just it's falling short. Lower highs coming through on the dailies there, so just popping in, not necessarily confirmed lower high. Actually it has now confirmed this one as a lower high, so looking a little bit soft as we sort of run in towards the data later on today. Gold, and again it's the inflation will most likely have quite an effect here. Moving on to oil, the driver. Now this broke in yesterday. I think it broken that those prior highs there when I was doing the outlook in the morning. It did eventually just sort of roll back from there. It was the morning one that was making the highs there into its weekly R1 and reacting off that. It might just come back again now though. It's just starting to shape up a little bit here, and it's got a daily pivot untouched above, which may be a beginning of a draw. So just watching this. Might get a bit of action. I will look at it more likely after 2 o'clock, but see what the pattern's like at the time. But we might get a push back towards that 70-40 area at least. Okay, so oil, and finally on here I can flick onto Bitcoin. Now this is the futures for Bitcoin I'm looking at, just to clarify that. Let's come out bigger time frame here. Had a solid day yesterday, solid old bounce. Talked about the potential from the sort of previous candle there, and we saw the starts of something yesterday, or the beginnings of something. But when you come down the time frames here, you just look at the sort of detail behind some of those bars, and you see the lower highs, lower lows. We could be breaking over again here. If it can hold on, that's fine. There's a trend line across the lows, that 4 hourly, but it could be just preparing for another breakdown. Okay, let's just have a look at the other Ethereum then yesterday. I'm just having a quick look through how that compares to Ethereum. Yesterday was a slight update, not as much, didn't gain as much as Bitcoin, and Ripple pretty much the same. Both of them gaining, but both of them down at the moment. So they've slipped back a little bit. Bitcoin Yeah, Bitcoin literally has, if you draw the trend line across the highs there, from those prior highs there, it's just really pretty close into that sort of level. Okay, that's it for me. Be wary of this today with data out, strong US dollar later. If we see it for a while, that could also have its effect on Bitcoin. Anything that comes in a lot weaker than expected, well, of course, we'll see some rallies in stocks potentially, rallies across the markets there. But there we are. Wait until 1:30 for that bit, but also, as I said, 12:45 and after 1:30 when Lagarde speaks will be the key moving points of today. I wish you a great one. Trade safely. Be careful. Don't be patient. Wait for the trades to come across and set up for you. And there you go. Have a good one. Bye for now.